The system is starting. You have been chosen to hear this. It is not by accident. In a world filled with noise, where everyone is quick to speak, quick to judge, you are being invited into a space of sacred silence, or a place where there is no opinion, no pressure, no expectations. It is just you and the voice that truly needs to be heard. Today, I have not come to add noise to your life. I have come to remind you, it is in silence that your soul is healed, and your mission begins.
Hello, my dear friends. Can we have an honest, heartfelt conversation for a moment? Let me ask you, how do you feel about getting older? Be truthful. Do you dread it? Do you ever wish you could turn back time, return to those days when you had more energy, when your body was stronger, and when your reflection in the mirror remained unchanged? If you've ever felt that way, you are not alone. We live in a world that idolizes youth. Everywhere we turn, advertisements bombard us with countless serums, creams, and treatments to combat aging. The message is clear. Aging is something to be feared and avoided. But what if I told you that this message is entirely wrong? What if I told you that growing older isn't something to resist, but to embrace? What if I told you that your wrinkles, gray hairs, and even your slower pace are not signs of loss, but evidence of God's abundant blessings in your life? Would you believe me? Some of you may be thinking, blessings? Are you sure about that? Because it doesn't always feel like a blessing, and you're right. Aging comes with its challenges, physical limitations, losses, and hardships. But let me assure you, God has a powerful and beautiful purpose for every stage of your life, including this one. The Bible, God's love letter to humanity, speaks of aging in a vastly different way than the world does. It doesn't tell us to hide our years or grieve their passing. Instead, it calls us to embrace them. Proverbs 16:31 says, "Gray hair is a crown of splendor. It is attained in the way of righteousness." Did you hear that? A crown of splendor. While the world tells us to cover up gray hair, God sees it as a symbol of honor, wisdom, and righteousness. Over the next few moments, we will explore what the Bible says about aging. Together, we will uncover why growing older is one of the greatest blessings from God. We will reflect on the wisdom we gain, the legacy we leave, and the eternal perspective we develop. By the end of this journey, I promise you'll walk away with a renewed outlook, a joyful, hope-filled perspective on the years ahead. So, whether you're already in your golden years, just entering them, or still young and preparing for the journey, this message is for you. God is not finished with you. No matter your age, He is working in your life right now, and He has a purpose for every breath you take. I won't sugarcoat it. Aging comes with difficulties, and we'll acknowledge those too. But through it all, we'll see how God uses every challenge to bring us closer to Him and reveal His glory in our lives. Because in God's kingdom, your value does not decrease with age, it increases. So grab your favorite cup of tea or coffee, find a comfortable seat, and let's discuss why growing older is not something to dread, but a gift to cherish. Let's explore the divine beauty of aging together. By the end, you may even feel excited about those gray hairs and laugh lines. One dot. Aging reflects God's sovereignty and faithfulness. Have you ever thought about how your life is a living testimony of God's goodness? Every wrinkle, every scar, every gray hair tells a story of how God has carried you through life's challenges. They are not signs of decline, but markers of His faithfulness. Think back for a moment. How many times has God brought you through situations that seemed impossible? Perhaps it was a financial struggle, a health crisis, or a broken relationship that left you feeling lost. Yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still growing. That's not by accident. That's God's sovereign hand at work in your life. The Bible affirms this truth in Isaiah 46:4, where God declares, "Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am He who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you and I will rescue you. What a comforting promise. The same God who formed you in the womb, who walked with you in your youth, is the same God who promises to sustain you in old age. Consider Abraham and Sarah. By all worldly standards, they were too old to have children, but God had a different plan. At the age of 100, Abraham became the father of Isaac, the child of promise. Imagine their awe as they held their newborn son. Every gray hair on their heads stood as evidence of God's perfect timing and unshakable promises. Their story reminds us that it's never too late for God to fulfill His purpose in our lives. If you're feeling like your best years are behind you, let me encourage you. God isn't finished with you yet. Your story is still unfolding, and His plans for you are greater than you can imagine. Aging is not just about the passage of time. It's about accumulating evidence of God's blessings, grace, and guidance. Your gray hairs, they're badges of honor. Your laugh lines, they're maps of joy. Your scars, proof of God's healing power. So, the next time you look in the mirror and notice the changes that come with age, don't see them as flaws. See them as reminders of God's unwavering faithfulness. You're not just growing older, you're becoming a living testimony of His goodness. 2, wisdom comes with age. Wisdom is one of life's greatest treasures, and the Bible makes it clear that it often comes with age. Job 12:12 says, "Is not wisdom found among the aged? Does not long life bring understanding?" Wisdom isn't just about knowledge, it's about knowing how to apply God's truth to life's realities. It's about seeing the world through His eyes. And often, this kind of wisdom only comes through experience. Think about King Solomon, one of the wisest men to ever live. Early in his reign, Solomon asked God for wisdom to govern his people, and God answered abundantly. But his wisdom wasn't static, it deepened over time. His writings in Proverbs and Ecclesiastes reflect a profound, reflective understanding of life. In Ecclesiastes 3:01, he writes, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heaven." This perspective, recognizing the ebb and flow of life, is the kind of wisdom that comes with age. But wisdom isn't meant to be kept to ourselves. The Bible encourages us to pass it on. Titus 2:3, 5 calls older men and women to teach and mentor the younger generation, sharing the lessons they've learned. Your wisdom is a gift, not just for you, but for those who come after you. So don't underestimate the value of your wisdom. The world may celebrate youth, but God treasures the wisdom of age. He calls us to share it, to use it, and to let it be a beacon of truth in a world that desperately needs it. As you age, remember, you're not just growing older, you're growing wiser. And that wisdom is a gift both to you and to those around you. What truly matters is our relationship with God, the love we share with others, and the legacy of faith we leave behind. The Apostle Paul beautifully captures this perspective in Philippians 3:7 and 8, where he writes, "But whatever were gains to me, I now consider loss for the sake of Christ. What is more, I consider everything a loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord." Paul, who had achieved great success by worldly standards, realized that none of it compared to the eternal value of knowing Christ. Aging often brings us to the same realization. The only things that truly last are those rooted in God. Consider the parable of the rich fool in Luke 12:16-21. This man spent his life building bigger barns to store his wealth, only to realize too late that he had neglected what mattered most. Aging gives us the opportunity to avoid that mistake. It allows us to recalibrate our priorities and focus on the treasures that cannot be stolen or destroyed, the treasures we store up in heaven. This clarity is not just for our benefit. It is also a gift we can share with others. As someone who has walked through the peaks and valleys of life, you have a unique perspective to offer. You can gently remind others, especially younger generations, to seek what is eternal rather than chasing after the temporary. In Matthew 6:19-21, Jesus tells us, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Aging helps us see this truth with fresh eyes. It calls us to let go of the things that do not truly matter and to cling tightly to those that do. So as the years go by, do not see aging as a loss. See it as a gain of clarity, wisdom, and perspective. Let the experiences of your life sharpen your focus on what truly matters. And as you gain this clarity, let it fill you with gratitude for the eternal treasures God has given you. The gift of influence and legacy. One of the most beautiful blessings that comes with age is the opportunity to leave a legacy. Every single one of us is leaving a legacy, whether we realize it or not. The question is, what kind of legacy are we building? Aging provides us with the perfect opportunity to be intentional about the mark we leave behind. Psalm 78:4 declares, "We will not hide them from their descendants. We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, His power, and the wonders He has done." This verse is a call to action, reminding us that our stories, our experiences with God, are not just for us. They are meant to be shared with the next generation. Think about it. Your life is a treasure chest filled with stories of God's faithfulness. Perhaps you have experienced His provision in times of financial struggle, His peace during seasons of heartbreak, or His guidance when you did not know which way to turn. These stories are powerful. They can inspire, encourage, and strengthen others, especially those who are just beginning their journey of faith. Consider the example of Paul. Toward the end of his life, he wrote letters to Timothy, a young pastor who looked to him as a mentor. In 2 Timothy 4:7, Paul writes, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." These words, written by an aging Paul, carry a weight that can only come from someone who has lived a life fully devoted to God. His legacy was not in his accomplishments or status. It was in the faith he passed on to Timothy and countless others. You too have the opportunity to influence and mentor those who come after you. Whether it is your children, grandchildren, or members of your church community, your words and actions can shape the faith of the next generation. Do not underestimate the impact of your wisdom, your prayers, and your example. Leaving a legacy is not about perfection. It is about faithfulness. It is about showing others that even in your weaknesses, God's strength has been enough. It is about being honest about the challenges you have faced and pointing others to the God who carried you through. And here is the most beautiful part. Your legacy does not end when you leave this earth. The seeds of faith, love, and truth that you plant in the lives of others will continue to grow and bear fruit long after you are gone. That is the beauty of a God-honoring legacy. It is eternal. Physical weakness, spiritual strength. One of the hardest parts of aging is dealing with physical limitations. The aches and pains, the slowing pace, the health challenges. These can feel like unwelcome reminders of our mortality. But what if I told you that even in our physical weakness, God's power can shine more brightly than ever? The Apostle Paul gives us incredible insight into this truth in 2 Corinthians 12:9-10. After pleading with God to remove a thorn in his flesh, Paul shares God's response. "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Paul then declares, "Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. For when I am weak, then I am strong." Isn't that incredible? The world tells us that weakness is something to be ashamed of, but God tells us the opposite. Our weaknesses, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, are opportunities for His power to be displayed. When we can no longer rely on our own strength, we are reminded to rely fully on Him, and that is where true strength is found. Think about Moses. By the time God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, Moses was 80 years old. He was not a young, strong warrior. He was an aging shepherd with a stutter and a long list of insecurities. But God chose him not in spite of his weaknesses, but because of them. Through Moses, God showed His power to Pharaoh, the Israelites, and the entire world. Your own life may feel full of limitations, but remember this: God is not limited by your limitations. In fact, He often uses them to accomplish His greatest work. As you face the challenges of aging, whether it is declining health, a loss of energy, or other physical struggles, let them draw you closer to Him. Let them remind you that His grace is sufficient and that His power is made perfect in your weakness. And here is the beauty of it. As our physical bodies grow weaker, our spiritual strength can grow stronger. Aging gives us the chance to deepen our dependence on God, to trust Him in new ways, and to experience His sustaining grace. Isaiah 40:31 reminds us, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." So the next time you feel frustrated by your physical limitations, take heart. God is at work in your weakness, and His power is shining through you. When you lean on Him, you will find a strength that goes far beyond what your body can provide. It is a strength that comes from the Spirit of God living in you. Aging is not something to be feared, but embraced with anticipation, for the best is yet to come. Consider the Apostle John. In his old age, exiled on the island of Patmos, he received the vision that became the book of Revelation. This vision was not merely a glimpse of heaven, but a powerful reminder of the victory we have in Christ. John's words in Revelation 21:04 fill us with hope. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. As we grow older, this eternal perspective becomes even more precious. It helps us endure the challenges of aging with grace, knowing that each step brings us closer to the moment when we will see our Savior face to face. It gives us the courage to live fully, love deeply, and serve faithfully, knowing that our labor is never in vain. So, my friends, let aging remind you of the eternal hope you have in Christ. Let it shift your focus from the temporary to the eternal, from the struggles of this world to the glory that awaits, and let it fill you with joy, knowing that the best is yet to come. A call to gratitude and joy. Let's take a moment to reflect on gratitude. One of the greatest lessons aging teaches us is the importance of being thankful. When you have walked through decades of life, seen its peaks and valleys, and experienced both joys and sorrows, you begin to understand that every moment, every breath is a gift from God. Gratitude is the key to embracing the blessings of aging. In 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18, Paul writes, "Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Notice that Paul does not say to give thanks for all circumstances, but in all circumstances. Why? Because no matter what we go through, we can trust that God is with us, working for our good. Aging offers us a unique perspective on this truth. Looking back, we can see God's faithfulness even in the hardest times. Perhaps there were moments when you felt abandoned or unsure of how you would make it through, but now, with the wisdom of time, you can see how God carried you, provided for you, and brought you to where you are today. Psalm 92:12-14 paints a beautiful picture of gratitude. The righteous will flourish like a palm tree. They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. Isn't that incredible? Even in your later years, you can bear fruit, remaining fresh and full of life, love, and purpose. That is something to celebrate. Joy is another gift that comes with gratitude. When we focus on God's goodness, it fills our hearts with joy, no matter our circumstances. Nehemiah 8:10 reminds us, "The joy of the Lord is your strength." Joy is not about ignoring the challenges of aging. It is about finding strength in God's presence and promises. How do we cultivate gratitude and joy as we age? By making them daily practices. Start each day by thanking God for His blessings, the gift of another sunrise, the people you love, the lessons you have learned. Reflect on how He has worked in your life and give thanks for His faithfulness. As you do, you will find that gratitude opens the door to joy, filling your days with hope and purpose. Embrace the blessings of aging. As we conclude this journey through the blessings of aging, I want to leave you with one final thought. God has a purpose for every season of your life. Your value does not diminish with age. It increases. You are not forgotten or overlooked. You are cherished and deeply loved by the one who created you. Isaiah 46:4 beautifully captures this truth. Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am He who will sustain you. I have made you and I will carry you. I will sustain you and I will rescue you. What a comforting promise. God does not abandon us as we grow older. Instead, He walks with us, sustains us, and carries us through every moment. Think about everything we have explored today, how aging reflects God's faithfulness, brings wisdom, provides clarity, allows us to leave a legacy, strengthens us spiritually, and shifts our focus to eternity. These are not small blessings, they are monumental. They remind us that aging is not a loss, but a gain, a gift from a loving God who is working in and through us. So, my dear friends, I encourage you to embrace aging with open arms. Celebrate your gray hairs and laugh lines as signs of a life well lived. Share your wisdom and stories with those around you. Trust that God will use your experiences for His glory. And most importantly, keep your eyes fixed on the eternal hope you have in Christ. Remember, you are a walking testimony of God's grace. Your life, no matter your age, is valuable and meaningful. The world may see aging as something to fear, but as believers, we know the truth. It is a blessing, a privilege, and a part of God's beautiful plan. Let's live with gratitude and joy. Let's celebrate the gift of every year and every moment, knowing that the best is yet to come. And let's declare with confidence the words of Psalm 71:18, "Even when I am old and gray, do not forsake me, my God, till I declare your power to the next generation, your mighty acts to all who are to come." God is not done with you yet. You are loved, valued, and blessed. Let's embrace the beauty of aging together. Have you ever experienced the sting of betrayal, the kind that fractures your trust, shatters your heart, and leaves you questioning your worth? Just as you begin to heal, they reappear, empty-handed, full of old promises. They knock on the very door they once slammed in your face, and your heart whispers, maybe they've changed. But listen carefully. It's not about what they say, it's about what they did. You owe it to yourself to see the reality, not the illusion. You don't need another cycle of pain. You need clarity, strength, and peace. When someone who has hurt you re-enters your life, the first step is to step back and evaluate their true intentions with a discerning mind. This isn't a moment for nostalgia, wishful thinking, or blind hope. It's a moment for deep reflection and unflinching honesty. Understanding their real motives is not just about shielding yourself from potential harm, but about safeguarding your peace, progress, and self-worth. People often return after causing pain, not because they suddenly recognize your value or genuinely regret their actions, but because they feel a void in their own lives. Loneliness can be a powerful motivator. Perhaps the grass wasn't greener on the other side. Perhaps the people they turned to couldn't provide the comfort, loyalty, or love you once gave so freely. Their return might feel like validation of your worth, but be careful not to mistake their emptiness for genuine remorse. The two are not the same. Others come back seeking to ease their guilt. When they hurt you, whether through neglect, betrayal, or selfishness, they likely carry the weight of that wrongdoing. But here's the hard truth. Their guilt is not your responsibility to resolve. If they return simply to unburden themselves, to hear you say it's okay, or to seek forgiveness without offering tangible change, their return is more about them than it is about you. Pay attention to whether their actions are self-serving or reflect a true desire to make amends. Convenience can also play a significant role in why someone reappears. When life becomes difficult and their options narrow, they may remember the comfort and stability you once provided. You might have been their safe harbor, their emotional anchor. But you must ask yourself, are they coming back because they now truly see your worth, or because it's easier to return to you than to face the challenges of building something new? There is a vast difference between being chosen for convenience and being chosen out of genuine love and respect. Some people return when they can no longer control you from a distance. When you begin to move on, when your healing becomes visible and your growth undeniable, it threatens their sense of power. They might reach out, not out of love or reconciliation, but to reassert their influence, to remind you of the connection you once shared, or to keep you within their grasp. This is especially true when the person thrived on manipulation or emotional control. Their return isn't about treating you right, it's about maintaining a hold over you. Nostalgia can also drive their return. Time has a way of softening memories, painting even the most painful relationships in a rosier light. They might recall the laughter, the love, the shared moments, while conveniently forgetting the pain they caused. But nostalgia is a poor guide for making decisions about the future. Memories can be deceptive for both them and you. If they are returning because they are clinging to an idealized past, it is crucial to remind yourself of the full picture, the joy and the wounds, the love and the betrayals. One of the most challenging aspects of understanding someone's true intentions is separating their words from their actions. People often return armed with apologies, promises, and declarations of love. They may say everything you've ever wanted to hear, weaving a story of regret and transformation. But words, no matter how eloquent, are not enough. True intentions are revealed through consistent, meaningful action over time. Look closely. Are they making an effort to understand how they hurt you? Are they taking concrete steps to rebuild trust? Or are they relying on empty promises, hoping their words alone will be enough to win you back? It is equally important to consider whether their return aligns with your needs and boundaries. If they truly care about you, they will respect your healing process. They won't rush you or pressure you to accept them back on their terms. Instead, they will show patience, humility, and a willingness to put in the work. If their return feels rushed, if they dismiss your concerns or try to downplay the pain they caused, it's a sign their intentions may not be as pure as they claim. A deeper layer to understanding their motives is examining past patterns of behavior. Have they done this before? Have they left and come back multiple times, creating a cycle of hurt and reconciliation? If so, their return might not signify change, but rather a continuation of that cycle. People who have truly changed will not only acknowledge their past mistakes, but will take proactive steps to ensure they never repeat them. Ultimately, understanding their true motives requires you to listen to your intuition. Deep down, you often know when someone's actions don't match their words. You feel it in the pit of your stomach, in the quiet moments when doubt lingers. Don't ignore those feelings. They are your internal warning system, guiding you toward the truth. Trust yourself to recognize when someone's intentions are sincere and when they are not. Taking the time to evaluate their real intentions isn't just about protecting yourself from further harm. It's about reclaiming your power, honoring your worth, and refusing to settle for anything less than you deserve. You are not obligated to welcome someone back simply because they've returned. Their intentions, no matter how well disguised, cannot override your right to peace, happiness, and respect. When someone who hurt you re-enters your life, take a moment to reflect on why they left in the first place. This isn't about holding on to resentment or reopening old wounds. It's about clarity. People leave for a variety of reasons, and often those reasons say more about them than they do about you. To move forward wisely, you must confront those truths, no matter how painful. When they left, it may have felt like rejection, as if it were a statement about your worth. But often, people don't leave because you were lacking. They leave because they were. Maybe they weren't ready for the depth of what you were offering. Maybe your love illuminated parts of themselves they weren't ready to face. Emotionally immature individuals often run from the very thing they claim to want. Their departure wasn't about you not being enough. It was about them not being capable of meeting the standard your love required. For some, leaving is about avoidance. They don't want to face hard conversations, accountability, or the effort a real relationship demands. When conflict arises, rather than working through it, they take the easy way out. This kind of departure leaves you with unanswered questions. But remember, avoidance is not a sign of strength or independence. It's a sign of emotional immaturity. Others leave because they believe the grass is greener elsewhere. This is painful because it makes you question your worth, but understand this. When someone leaves in search of something better, it reflects their own unmet desires and unrealistic expectations. They fail to realize that true happiness isn't found in chasing novelty. It's cultivated in growth, commitment, and understanding. Some people leave to maintain control. When they sense you growing stronger, they may return, not out of love, but to regain the upper hand. It's crucial to recognize these dynamics for what they are. Others leave because they simply weren't invested enough. Their return should make you question whether they genuinely value you now or simply took you for granted before. In the end, understanding why they left helps you determine whether their return is meaningful or merely a repetition of the past. Be wise, be strong, and most of all, remember you deserve more than recycled love. You deserve something real. When someone returns after leaving, it is essential to question whether their comeback stems from genuine growth and understanding or merely a fear of being alone. Often, people walk away for selfish reasons, prioritizing their desires, ambitions, or personal needs over the relationship, with little regard for how their actions impact you. Whether their departure was due to infidelity, dishonesty, or neglect, the fact remains that they made a choice, one that placed their interests above your well-being. When they return, promising they have changed, it is crucial to assess whether their shift is genuine or if it is just a temporary desire for comfort. Understanding why they left also means acknowledging the emotional toll their absence took on you. This is not about dwelling on the pain, but recognizing how their decision affected your trust, confidence, and self-worth. Wounds caused by their departure do not simply vanish because they decide to come back. Evaluating their return is about determining whether their presence now contributes to your healing or risks reopening old scars. An apology, no matter how heartfelt, is not enough. True change is reflected in their actions. Actions that demonstrate an awareness of the pain they caused and a commitment to doing better. It is also necessary to be honest with yourself about what you truly need and deserve. Their departure may have revealed incompatibilities, unresolved issues, or warning signs you previously ignored. Use this reflection as a chance to clarify your boundaries and priorities. When they return, you will be better equipped to assess whether their presence aligns with the life and love you want for yourself. When someone who has hurt you comes back, they often bring words of apology, regret, and promises of change. They will say they are sorry, that they have grown, and that things will be different. It is tempting to believe these words, especially when they echo the hopes you have been holding on to. However, words require little effort and can be spoken without true commitment. If you are to protect yourself, you must look beyond what they say and focus on what they do. Actions reveal the truth that words often disguise. People use words to manipulate emotions, especially when they feel they are losing their grip on you. They know what you long to hear and how to phrase it in a way that stirs your heart. Apologies can be rehearsed, promises can be made in moments of desperation, and declarations of love can be wielded as weapons to lower your defenses. When they claim to have changed, ask yourself, what evidence have you seen? True growth is not an overnight transformation or a realization that they miss you. It is a process requiring time, effort, and consistency. Without tangible actions supporting their claims, their words are nothing more than a performance. Testing their actions means observing how they behave, not just in grand gestures, but in the small, everyday moments that reveal their true character. Are they following through on their commitments? Are they respecting your boundaries and truly listening to your concerns? Are they making an effort to understand how they hurt you and ensuring it does not happen again? Real change is not about extravagant promises. It is about the difficult ongoing work of rebuilding trust and demonstrating accountability. Another critical aspect of change is accountability. Do they take full responsibility for their past actions, or do they deflect, minimize, or make excuses? Genuine accountability means acknowledging the hurt they caused without shifting blame or expecting instant forgiveness. If they are truly committed to making amends, their actions will reflect a willingness to earn your trust rather than demand it. They will not pressure you to move on before you are ready, nor will they act as though their return should automatically erase the past. Equally important is how they respond to your boundaries. Setting boundaries is essential in protecting your emotional well-being after someone has hurt you. If they are serious about rebuilding the relationship, they will respect these boundaries without resistance or guilt-tripping. They will not pressure you to let them back in on their terms or manipulate you into lowering your guard. Instead, they will exhibit patience and understanding, recognizing that regaining your trust is a privilege, not a right. Consistency is a key indicator of true change. Doing the right thing once or twice is easy. Real transformation is demonstrated through steady, unwavering integrity. If their behavior is inconsistent, attentive, and respectful one moment, but distant or dismissive the next, it suggests that their actions do not align with their words. True change is not sporadic or conditional. It is a continuous effort that builds trust over time. Conflict is another revealing test. In the past, they may have responded to challenges by walking away, lashing out, or shutting down. If they claim to have grown, their approach to conflict should reflect that growth. Are they willing to engage in difficult conversations without becoming defensive? Do they listen to your perspective and take responsibility for their role in past issues? The way they handle conflict now will indicate whether they have developed the emotional maturity needed for a healthy, lasting relationship. Observing how they treat others is just as important. When trying to win someone back, people often put on a facade. However, their true character is revealed in their interactions with those around them. Are they consistently kind and respectful? Or do they display patterns of selfishness, entitlement, or disregard for others? How they treat people in everyday situations provides valuable insight into whether their behavior aligns with the values they claim to uphold. Additionally, it is crucial to evaluate whether they have taken steps to address the root causes of their past behavior. If their departure was due to unresolved personal struggles such as insecurity, fear of commitment, or poor communication, have they actively worked to resolve these issues? Genuine growth requires effort and intentionality. Without addressing underlying problems, their return is unlikely to lead to a different outcome. You must also consider whether their actions align with your needs and priorities. It is not enough for them to simply want to return. They need to show a genuine commitment to supporting your well-being and contributing to a healthy relationship. Are they making an effort to understand your needs and meet them consistently? Are they prioritizing your emotional safety and demonstrating that they value your happiness? Their actions should reflect a desire for a partnership built on mutual respect, not one-sided expectation. Trust your instincts. Your intuition often picks up on subtle cues that logic may overlook. If something about their behavior feels off, do not dismiss those feelings. Your gut is a powerful tool for discerning whether their actions align with their words. Pay attention to how their presence makes you feel. Do you feel safe, valued, and respected? Or do you feel uneasy, uncertain, and mistrustful? Testing their actions means observing both what they show you and how their actions resonate with you on a deeper level. Setting clear boundaries is not about shutting people out, but about creating a space where you can be your authentic self, free from manipulation, disrespect, or emotional harm. When someone who has hurt you returns, it is natural to feel tempted to give them another chance. However, without boundaries, you risk reopening old wounds or repeating unhealthy patterns. Boundaries serve as your armor, ensuring that you receive the respect and care you deserve. The first step in setting boundaries is recognizing your right to define the terms of your relationships. You are not obligated to accept someone back simply because they return. Saying no is not a sign of weakness or unforgiveness. It is an act of self-care. You are not required to welcome someone back into your life just because they regret their actions. Instead, you must ask whether their return aligns with your healing, growth, and the future you are building for yourself. A critical part of boundary setting is identifying your needs. What do you require to feel safe? What do you need to maintain your peace? Boundaries are not about punishment, but about safeguarding your emotional and mental well-being. You are responsible for your own healing and happiness, not for how the other person reacts to your boundaries. Once you have identified your needs, communicate them clearly and firmly. Boundaries that are not communicated are easily disregarded. Do not apologize for asserting what you need, nor should you feel guilty for protecting your peace. You deserve relationships that honor your worth. To feel safe and respected, it can be tempting to accommodate others or downplay your needs in an effort to keep the peace. But doing so only leads to resentment and emotional exhaustion. Be clear about what you will and will not tolerate and stand firm in your decisions. If someone is truly invested in rebuilding a relationship with you, they will respect your boundaries. If they disregard them, it is a clear sign that they are not ready to be a positive force in your life. One of the most powerful aspects of setting boundaries is granting yourself permission to prioritize your own needs. When someone re-enters your life, it is natural to focus on their feelings, to seek to understand their perspective, and to accommodate their requests. But in doing so, you risk losing sight of your own needs and desires. Setting boundaries means placing your well-being at the forefront and recognizing that your feelings are just as important as theirs. You do not need to sacrifice your emotional safety or happiness for someone else's comfort. Boundaries also serve as a reminder that respect is not optional. It is fundamental to any healthy relationship. Respect goes beyond simply avoiding harmful behavior. It is about honoring each other's emotional space and needs. When someone has hurt you, it is crucial to establish boundaries that reflect the respect you deserve. If they refuse to meet those boundaries, it reveals that their return is not about growth or making amends, but rather about seeking something from you without considering your needs. Setting boundaries requires self-awareness. You must understand your emotional triggers, vulnerabilities, and the patterns that led to the hurt in the first place. By recognizing your emotional limits, you can create boundaries aligned with your needs. If past interactions with this person involved emotional manipulation or gaslighting, your boundary might be to avoid conversations that feel emotionally charged or manipulative. If they have shown a pattern of disrespect, your boundary might be to only engage in discussions that are calm and respectful, with clear agreements about how you both will treat each other moving forward. It is also important to recognize that setting boundaries is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing practice. As you continue to engage with someone who has hurt you, your needs and boundaries may evolve. You may feel more or less comfortable with certain interactions over time, and that is okay. Your boundaries should always reflect your current emotional state and your ongoing healing process. If someone crosses a boundary, it is essential to reinforce it consistently and kindly. Allowing small violations to slide can lead to bigger issues later. Be prepared for pushback. People who have hurt you in the past may not immediately understand or accept your boundaries, and that is okay. They may argue, become defensive, or try to manipulate you into lowering your standards. Their reaction is not a reflection of your worth or your right to set boundaries. It is a reflection of their inability to respect your emotional needs. Stay firm in your commitment to protecting yourself. It is not your responsibility to make them comfortable with your decisions. It is your responsibility to ensure you are at peace with the choices you make. Setting boundaries also means being prepared to walk away if your needs are not met. If someone continues to disrespect your boundaries or refuses to acknowledge your emotional needs, you have the right to disengage. Walking away is not an act of punishment, it is an act of self-preservation. You are not responsible for their emotional reaction to your boundaries, but you are responsible for protecting your mental and emotional health. If someone truly values you, they will respect your boundaries, even if it takes time for them to fully understand their importance. Boundaries are not just about protecting yourself from others. They are about protecting your peace and ability to move forward. When you set clear boundaries, you create space for healing. You gain the emotional distance needed to assess the situation, determine whether this person deserves a place in your life again, and decide what kind of relationship you want to cultivate. Boundaries allow you to make decisions from a place of clarity rather than from emotional pressure or past attachments. In doing so, you not only protect your emotional well-being, but also empower yourself to build relationships that honor your worth. When someone who has hurt you returns, it can be tempting to let them in again. Their words, apologies, and promises of change can feel convincing, even genuine. But the truth is, your healing is far more important than their return. It always will be. Prioritizing your healing means creating a foundation built not on hope or fleeting emotions, but on strength, self-respect, and the recognition that you deserve to move forward in a way that serves you. The first step in valuing your healing is acknowledging that it must be your priority. Above the person who hurt you, above their apologies, above your own guilt or longing for closure, you have worked hard to heal. You have invested time, effort, tears, and deep self-reflection to rebuild yourself. Allowing someone back in without regard for how it may impact your healing risks undoing all the progress you have made. Their return could drag you back into the chaos, confusion, and hurt you have fought to escape. You must ask yourself, do you value your growth, your peace, and your future? Or do you want to relive the hurt because it feels familiar? Healing should never depend on someone else's actions. It is easy to believe that their return, their acknowledgement of the pain they caused, or their apology will make you whole again. But healing comes from within, not from someone else's approval. The power to heal is within you. If you place your healing in someone else's hands, you give them control over your emotional state, waiting for them to decide if you get to be whole again. But you have already been through that. You have already given someone the power to hurt you. Now, you have the opportunity to take that power back. Healing is not linear. It is not simply about getting over the hurt. It is about learning, growing, and evolving. It means embracing every emotion, the anger, sadness, and fear, and giving yourself the space to feel them without judgment. Healing requires patience, compassion, and most importantly, time. You cannot rush healing just as you cannot rush growth. The longer you prioritize your healing over someone else's return, the more space you allow yourself to fully recover. When someone who hurt you returns, promising they have changed, it is natural to want to believe them. After all, who does not want to believe in second chances? But healing is about more than emotional closure. It is about learning from past experiences and using them to build a stronger version of yourself. If you focus too much on their return, you risk minimizing the lessons you have learned. You risk ignoring the red flags and patterns that caused you pain before. Value your healing by focusing on what it has taught you, what boundaries you established, what strengths you uncovered, and how you have grown. Healing is not about erasing the past, but integrating it into who you are now. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt has shaped you into someone stronger and more resilient. Prioritizing your healing empowers you to make choices from a place of self-respect rather than emotional dependence. You no longer need external validation. You are already whole. There will be moments when you feel the urge to let them back in, moments of loneliness, moments of doubt, but remind yourself that your peace and well-being are worth more than temporary comfort. Relationships should never come at the expense of your mental health. If someone truly cares about you, they will respect your healing process. They will understand that your growth cannot be rushed or compromised. By valuing your healing, you break free from the patterns that once caused you pain. You no longer seek closure from those who hurt you. You find it within yourself. You move forward not because they finally see your worth, but because you do. You rise, not with anger, but with peace. And in doing so, you step fully into the life that was always meant for you. If you allow someone back into your life without considering how it affects your emotional recovery, you risk falling into old habits, familiar dynamics, and repetitive patterns of behavior. You jeopardize the progress you've made and reopen wounds that have already begun to heal. However, when you make your healing a priority, you establish an emotional safeguard that prevents you from returning to a place that no longer serves you. You learn to discern when someone's return is an opportunity for growth and when it is merely an invitation to repeat the past. There is power in choosing yourself and prioritizing your healing. No matter how strong the temptation is to let them back in, you have already invested so much in your own well-being, growth, and happiness. Do not let someone's return undo that hard work. Do not allow their desires to dictate your emotional state. Your healing is sacred, personal, and entirely yours. By prioritizing it, you send a clear message to yourself and the world. You are worthy of respect, deserving of peace, and committed to moving forward, no matter how difficult it may seem at times. If you let someone back into your life without valuing your healing, you risk losing yourself again. You risk giving them the power to unravel your progress, pulling you back into uncertainty and into a place where you once felt small, powerless, or unimportant. But when you hold your healing above all else, you preserve your sense of self, inner strength, and commitment to the life you are building. You protect your heart and soul from further harm and shape a future defined by your growth, not by the people who come and go. When someone who has hurt you returns, it is natural to want to believe they have changed. After all, they ask for another chance, their words filled with promises of growth, regret, and transformation. However, words alone mean little when it comes to true change. It is easy to say the right things, but much harder to alter the behaviors, attitudes, and patterns that caused harm in the first place. If you have been hurt before, recognizing genuine change is crucial to protecting yourself and making decisions in your best interest. When someone re-enters your life, evaluate their actions rather than their words. True change is demonstrated through what they do, not what they say. Words can be persuasive, sounding sincere, heartfelt, and full of remorse, but they do not heal past damage. If someone truly wishes to be part of your life again, they must prove their commitment through consistent, meaningful actions. Promises without proof are empty, and it is vital to remember that words hold value only when supported by corresponding behaviors. Seeking closure or reassurance is natural, but placing blind faith in promises can leave you vulnerable to the same pain. The hurt you have endured should remind you that actions speak louder than words. And it is those actions that must guide your decision about allowing someone back into your life. The first sign of true change is consistency. Transformation does not happen overnight, nor is it about temporary good behavior or fleeting acts of kindness. Real growth is a gradual process requiring time, effort, and dedication. If someone who has hurt you claims they have changed, you need to observe a sustained pattern of positive change. A person who genuinely wishes to make amends will consistently show improvement, not just when they know you are watching. Examine their behavior over time rather than in isolated moments of charm or apology. Do they continue to demonstrate respect, kindness, and understanding? Are their efforts consistent, or do they fade once they regain your trust? True change is about long-term effort, not short-term manipulation. Another key indicator of genuine transformation is accountability. A person who has truly changed does not avoid taking responsibility for their past mistakes. They do not blame you, external circumstances, or other factors for the harm they caused. Instead, they acknowledge their actions, recognize the pain they inflicted, and sincerely strive to make things right. Accountability means demonstrating a willingness to learn from mistakes, confronting personal flaws, and taking deliberate steps to avoid repeating harmful behavior. When someone claims to have changed, ask yourself, are they taking full responsibility for their actions, or are they deflecting, minimizing, or rationalizing their past behavior? True change comes from honesty, self-reflection, and a willingness to take ownership without making excuses or shifting blame. Observing whether they have made real efforts to grow is equally important. Growth is a continuous process that demands self-awareness, a willingness to challenge old habits, and the courage to address personal shortcomings. If someone who hurt you returns, there should be clear evidence of self-improvement, whether through seeking guidance, working on personal issues, or developing better communication skills. If no effort has been made to change, the same harmful patterns will likely repeat. Transformation is intentional, not accidental. If they have not actively worked on becoming a better person, they may be seeking comfort or validation rather than genuine change. You deserve someone who is committed to growth, not someone hoping you will accept them as they are without any effort to change the behavior that once caused you pain. Empathy is another fundamental aspect of true change. A person who has genuinely transformed will deeply understand the pain they caused. They will acknowledge your emotions, recognize the impact of their actions, and express genuine concern for your well-being. Empathy is not just about saying, "I'm sorry." It is about truly grasping the weight of their behavior and the lasting effects it has had on you. When evaluating change, consider how they treat your feelings. Do they validate your emotions or dismiss them to focus on their own? Do they show care for your healing, or are they only concerned with their desires? True change is rooted in empathy, and it is essential to look for this quality before letting someone back into your life. Trust, once broken, is not easily repaired. If someone has hurt you, they must prove they are worthy of your trust again. Trust is not something to be given freely or based solely on promises. It is rebuilt through consistent actions that demonstrate reliability, integrity, and honesty. A person who is truly changed will not expect trust without proof. They will show through their behavior that they are dependable and that their words align with their actions. If they demand trust without earning it, they are asking too much. Rebuilding trust takes time and effort, requiring sustained consistency in their actions. One of the strongest indicators of genuine change is their respect for your boundaries. Someone who has hurt you in the past may have disregarded your limits or taken advantage of your trust. True change means recognizing past violations and committing to respecting your boundaries moving forward. A person who truly values you will listen to your needs, honor your limits, and avoid repeating past mistakes. If someone disregards your boundaries or makes excuses for not respecting them, it is a sign they have not genuinely changed. Real transformation includes honoring your emotional well-being and ensuring their actions align with your boundaries. Pay attention to how they respond to your growth. If you have healed and grown stronger, a person who truly wants to reconnect will celebrate your progress rather than feel threatened by it. They will support your evolution even if it forces them to confront their own shortcomings. Someone who has not changed may try to diminish your growth, fearing it highlights their own stagnation. Genuine change means respecting your journey and encouraging your continued healing, even if it means they no longer fit into your life the way they once did. True transformation is not about perfection, it is about growth, accountability, empathy, consistency, and respect. When someone who has hurt you returns, observe these qualities in their actions. You deserve to be with people committed to self-improvement, who show integrity and sincerity, and who respect the person you have become. Words may sound reassuring, but actions reveal the truth. Watch closely and trust the process of observing change over time. Only then can you determine whether their return reflects genuine transformation or merely a repetition of past patterns. Choosing yourself is the greatest act of self-love and respect. It is not selfish or unkind, it is recognizing your worth, honoring your boundaries, and protecting your peace. When someone from your past returns, emotions and memories may pull you in, but ultimately you must choose yourself and never apologize for doing so. One of the most important decisions you will ever make is choosing yourself. There is something profoundly powerful about consciously deciding to put yourself first without hesitation and without guilt. For too long, many of us have been conditioned to prioritize the needs of others over our own. We are taught to be selfless, to nurture, to care, and to always be available for others, often at the expense of our mental, emotional, and physical health. But the truth is, if you do not take care of yourself, you cannot truly take care of anyone else. The only way to love and give to others in a meaningful way is to first love and give to yourself, which means choosing yourself unapologetically. When someone who has hurt you returns, they may expect you to open your heart to them immediately, to forgive without question, and to welcome them back into your life. They may hope you will forget the pain they cause, overlook the scars, and move forward as if nothing happened. But the reality is you owe no one your time, energy, or forgiveness if they have not earned it. You do not need to explain yourself, justify your actions, or feel guilty for making the choice to protect yourself. Choosing yourself means you are no longer willing to sacrifice your well-being for the comfort of others. It means understanding that your peace and happiness are more important than the opinions or desires of those who have not treated you with the respect you deserve. One of the hardest parts of choosing yourself is letting go of the guilt that often accompanies it. Many of us have been raised to always consider the feelings of others, even when it comes at a personal cost. We feel guilty for saying no, for setting boundaries, and for prioritizing our own needs. But the truth is, guilt is often a tool used by others to manipulate us into sacrificing our happiness for their convenience. When someone who has hurt you returns, they may try to make you feel guilty for not welcoming them with open arms. They may insist that you should forgive and forget, let go of the past, and move forward. But you do not owe them that. The only guilt you should feel is the guilt of not protecting your peace, of not standing up for your happiness, and of not honoring the boundaries essential for your healing. Choosing yourself means being firm about your boundaries. Boundaries are not negotiable, nor are they something that can be disregarded for someone else's convenience. They are essential for your emotional, mental, and physical well-being and must be respected at all costs. When someone who has hurt you returns, they must respect your boundaries if they wish to have a place in your life. If they cannot, then they are not worth your time, energy, or heart. You do not need to apologize for setting boundaries, nor should you feel guilty for enforcing them. Boundaries are a form of self-respect, and when you choose yourself, you honor those boundaries without hesitation or apology. Choosing yourself also means recognizing your worth and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. When someone who has hurt you returns, they may offer the same empty promises, the same false hopes, and the same hollow apologies, but if you have truly chosen yourself, you will see through the illusion. You will recognize that you deserve far more than the treatment you have previously accepted. You are worthy of love, respect, and kindness, and you should never settle for anything less. When you choose yourself, you refuse to tolerate disrespect, dishonesty, or manipulation. You understand that you deserve to be treated with the same love, care, and attention that you give to others. Choosing yourself means no longer accepting anything that falls short of what you truly deserve. It is also about knowing when to let go. Letting go is often one of the hardest aspects of choosing yourself. We become attached to people, relationships, the idea of what could have been, and the hope that things will change. But sometimes, the best thing you can do for yourself is to walk away. Walking away does not mean you are giving up or that you do not care. It means you value yourself enough to stop investing in something that no longer serves you. If someone who has hurt you returns, you may feel tempted to give them another chance, to believe they have changed and to hope they deserve another shot. But if their return only brings back old pain, if their actions show they have not changed, and if they refuse to respect your boundaries, it is time to let go. Releasing someone who has hurt you is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It shows you are strong enough to walk away from what no longer aligns with your well-being and best interests. Choosing yourself also means embracing your healing. Healing is a deeply personal journey, one that only you can take responsibility for. No one else can heal you, nor should they be expected to. Healing takes time, patience, and a deep commitment to self-care. When someone who has hurt you returns, it may be tempting to allow them to be part of your healing process, but your healing must come first. You must focus on your growth, your peace, and your well-being before considering allowing them back into your life. Choosing yourself means recognizing that your healing is a priority and should never be compromised for anyone else. It also requires trusting your instincts. Your intuition is often the best guide when deciding who to let into your life and who to keep out. When someone who has hurt you returns, your instincts will likely tell you whether they have truly changed. Trust those instincts, even if they go against what others say or what your heart desires. Emotions can cloud judgment, but your instincts are rooted in wisdom and will never lead you astray. Choosing yourself means listening to your gut and making choices aligned with your highest good. Finally, choosing yourself means learning to love yourself unconditionally. It means embracing who you are, flaws and all, and understanding that you are deserving of love and respect. Choosing yourself is not about perfection, but about self-acceptance, honoring your worth, and refusing to settle for anything less than what truly brings you peace and happiness. When you choose yourself, you affirm that you are worthy of love, peace, respect, and joy, and you refuse to tolerate anything that takes away from that. Choosing yourself is not always easy, especially when someone who has hurt you returns, but it is the most empowering decision you can make. When you choose yourself, you protect your heart, honor your resilience, and refuse to be defined by past pain. You affirm that you are worthy of something better. Choosing yourself is not an apology. It is a declaration of your worth, your value, and your right to be happy, at peace, and love. Your peace is priceless. Do not trade it for another round of heartbreak. Stay strong, stay wise, and remember, You deserve a love that never asks you to question your worth,